19, text 11. Deva uchu,
Deva uchu,
videha,
videha,
ushatam, kamam,
kamam,
lochaneshu, sharirinam, unmeshanam, nimeshapyam, lakshitaha, adhyatma, samsthitaha, deva uchu, videha ushatam kamam,
videha ushatam kamam,
videha ushatam kamam,
videha ushatam kamam,
lochaneshu sharirinam,
lochaneshu sharinam,
lochaneshu sharirinam,
lochaneshu sharinam,
samesh ulmashet, excuse me, ulmeshanam nimeshapyam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
ulmeshanam nimeshapyam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
lokshito jatma samsthita,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
lakshita jatma samsthita,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
deva uchu, videha ushatam kamam,
videha ushatam kamam,
lochaneshu sharirinam,
lochaneshu sharinam,
unmeshanam nimeshapyam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
lokshito jatma samsthita,
lakshito jatma samstitaha, deva uchu, videha ushatam kamam, videha ushatam kamam, lochaneshu sharinam, unmeshana nimeshabhyam, lakshito jatma samstitaha, deva uchu, videha ushatam kamam, lochaneshu sharirinam, unmeshana nimeshabhyam, lakshito jatma samstitaha,
Deva uchu, videha ushatam kamam, lochaneshu sharirinam, unmeshana nimeshabhyam, lakshito jatma samsthitaha,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
With the ladies.
Deva uchu,
deva uchu,
videha ushatam kamam,
videha ushatam kamam,
lochaneshu sharirinam,
lochaneshu sharinam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
lakshito jatma samistita,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
Deva uchu,
deva uchu,
videha ushatam
videha ushatam
kamam,
kamam,
lochaneshu sharirinam,
lochaneshu sharinam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
unmeshana nimeshabhyam,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
lakshito jatma samstitaha,
Deva uchu. Everybody understands English?
Yeah.
Okay. No need of translation. Okay. Deva Uchu.
Deva Uchu.
The demigod said,
The demigod said,
Videha,
Videha,
without any material body,
without any material body,
Ushatam,
Ushatam,
you live,
you live,
Kamam,
Kamam,
as you like,
as you like,
Lochaneshu,
Lochaneshu,
in the vision,
in the vision,
Sharirina,
Sharirinam,
of those who have material bodies,
of those who have material bodies,
Ulveshana Nimeshabhyam,
Ummeshana Nimeshabhyam,
become manifest and unmanifest,
become manifest and unmanifest,
as you desire.
as you desire.
Lakshitaha,
Lakshitaha,
being seen,
being seen,
Adhyatma Samsthitaha,
Adhyatma Samstitaha,
situated in a spiritual body.
situated in the spiritual body.
The demigod said, let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And, according to his desire, let him be manifest or unmanifest to common materially embodied people. Please repeat after me. The demigod said,
The demigod said,
let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body.
let Maharaj Nimi live without material body.
Let him live in a spiritual body
Let him live in a spiritual body
as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
as a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
And, according to his desire,
According to his desire,
let him be manifest or unmanifest
let him be manifest or unmanifest
to common materially embodied people.
to common materially embodied people.
Yeah. Okay. Purport, the demigods wanted Maharaj Nimi to come to life, but Maharaj Nimi did not want to accept a non-material body. Under the circumstances, the demigods, having been requested by the saintly persons, gave him the benediction that he would be able to stay in his spiritual body. There are two kinds of spiritual bodies, as generally understood by common men. The term spiritual body is sometimes taken to refer to a ghostly body. An impious man who dies after sinful activities is sometimes condemned so that he cannot possess a gross material body of 5 material elements, but must live in a subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego. However, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, devotees can give up the material body and attain a spiritual body free from all material tinges, gross and subtle. Chakva deham punarjanma naiti mam iti sojuna. Thus, the demigods gave King Nimi the benediction that he would be able to stay in a purely spiritual body, free from all gross and subtle material contamination. The Supreme Personality of God can be seen or unseen according to his own transcendental desire. Similarly, a devotee being, okay, we'll stop here because there's a lot of topics here covered. And this kind of change of subject here. So I'll speak something a little about what has been said so far, and then we can move on. So the background is that King Nimi, he was about to perform a sacrifice. And it was arranged, it was decided that Vashishta, he should be the priest doing the sacrifice. But it so happened that Vasishta, he had been engaged by Indra to perform a sacrifice. So he was occupied. So he told Nimi, please wait till I finish this sacrifice. I'm now engaged in performing for Indra. But Nimi, he was a little impatient. He thought life is short, so I will not wait. I don't have time to wait for Vasishta to finish with his engagement with Indra. So he decided to engage another priest, and he went ahead with the sacrifice. But when Vasishta found out about that, he became very angry, and he actually cursed Maharaj Nimi, that may your body fall down. In other words, I curse you to die. So, as it happens in the material world, cursing and counter-cursing. So Nimi, who was also very powerful, in return, he cursed Vashishta. He said, may your body fall down. So that's what happened. Both of them died. But the priests who were about to, I guess, apparently they were in the middle of this sacrifice they had been engaged to perform on behalf of King Nima. They continued with the sacrifice, but they preserved his body, as it is described, in fragrant substances. That's the word used. So he was dead. He had already left the body, but they preserved the body, and he was in the sacrificial arena, or by the sacrificial arena. His body was there lying. So the idea was that once the sacrifice is over, we're going to revive him. So, but as it is explained here, when they were, as they were about to, I think they asked the devas, the demigods, to revive him. But he said, no, I don't want to go back into the body. I want to go back to Krishna. I want to go back to Godhead. So, accordingly, as described here, he was blessed by the demigods to go back to Godhead, to attain a spiritual body. So that's what happened. Now what happened to Vasishta? That's also described. He took birth again. So, how was it? He took birth again. Let me just look it up. Anyway, he had to take birth again. So in other words, King Nimi, he came out. He gained the advantage here because he went back to Godhead. but not Vasishta. You know Vasishta from in another connection. Anybody remembers?
Vasishta?
He was the one who got into a quarrel with Vishwamitra. That's a long story, but it involves a Kamadhenu cow which belonged to Vasishta, and which Vishwamitra became very envious. He wanted that cow, but Vasishta refused, and there was a big fight. And Vasishta, actually being very powerful Brahmana, he came out on top of that conflict, and he defeated Vishwamitra, and because of that, Vishwamitra, he took up austerities to become a Brahmana, because he realized the Brahmanas are more powerful than the Kshatriyas. Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya. And then of course, there's another famous, leads into another famous story which Prabhupada would relate again and again about Vishwamitra being seduced by Manaka. Everybody has heard that story. But many times he gave that as the example how even a great yogi falls victim to sex desire. In contrast to devotees who he gave the example of Haridas Thakur, who was also tempted by a prostitute in the middle of the night, but he didn't succumb to this temptation because of being fixed in chanting the holy name. So anyway, that's what happened. And Nimi, he got the supreme benediction going back home, back to London, to become, as he said here, a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yeah, anyway, it's here an example is also of the superior technology of this of these personalities, these priests there, that they were actually able to. They had Nimi agreed, then they would have revived him in that body. There was around 1954 one guy in USA, Robert, what was his name? I forgot. He wrote a book called The Prospect of Immortality. And with our background, we might think, wow, this sounds very Krishna conscious. But it's not. It was a book about he laid out the plan for actually preserving, freezing people who had died and later reviving them. It became known as cryonics. I remember when I was in my childhood, it was a big thing in the media. Everybody heard about this. Famously, Walt Disney was supposedly frozen down, kept somewhere. Now you don't hear about it much anymore, but it still exists. There were several companies that were started to embark on this enterprise. And a number of people, they were actually decided to try it out and get frozen. After they died, it's illegal to do it with somebody who's still alive, so they had to wait till they are clinically dead, and then they did it. But most of the companies, they went bankrupt, and the bodies were unthawed. Unthawed? They were defrosted and disposed of. So. But there is still existing at least one company, which is, I don't know the name, but they're still carrying on with this, which is even among in mainstream science, it is not accepted. It's what is a so-called pseudoscience.
They have special price for pets, treating pets.
Pets, yeah.
Yeah, they have special offers.
But sometimes they have it's quite expensive. It can cost up to $200,000 to get frozen down.
You have to pay in advance.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't trust that you will get it pay after. Even they don't trust themselves. But there's a cheaper option. They can also they can cut out your brain and freeze that out. It's a little cheaper. So anyway, such ridiculous things are going on. But here we see that actually they could do it. They could preserve the body of a person who had already lived and arrange for him to come back in that body. But Maharaj Nimi, he was very intelligent. He didn't want that. Of course, their idea was not, they were well aware that, the living entity is not the body. It's not that, there's a soul which is different from the body. The soul has to be convinced or induced to come back into the body. Not that just the body itself is the person. So it's a much higher level of civilization, of technology that they possessed than we have in this age. Prabhupada mentions here also that sometimes the term spiritual body is understood to refer to the ghostly body. That is another big topic. People in general, they are intrigued about what is a ghost. Are there such a thing as ghosts? What is it really? And people who have some experience, they're sometimes very afraid of ghosts. Some are very afraid and some are very attracted. And some are maybe both, but and then some they doubt the whole thing, they disbelieve in such things as ghosts. This is ridiculous because for the gross materialists, their understanding is that reality is what you can observe with your senses, what you can see, hear, touch, feel, smell, and so on. What you can weigh, what you can manipulate, that is what actually constitutes reality, and there's nothing more than that. They don't even accept the subtle material energy. It's a very gross materialism. Those who are a little more subtle, they are open to accept that there is more to reality. But then often it is also, there's a strong influence of the mode of ignorance. This attraction, this fascination with ghosts is actually a symptom of the mode of ignorance. It is not something really that devotees are very interested in. We know that it exists, we accept, and we are having to deal with it by necessity, because if one is not in complete ignorance, then one naturally is aware that certain things go on which cannot be explained by gross physical laws. For me, the whole topic is a little boring, because it's like how do you say? It's trivial. It's something that, probably because of my background, I have a lot of experience. I had periods in my life where it was not nightly, but at least weekly occurrence. Especially not when I was awake so much, but mainly at night that somebody would come and disturb. As a devotee, because I've heard about, I understood what it was, and I was able to deal with it. And it was annoying, but eventually it became less, and nowadays it's quite rare. I'm happy to say, but I know what it is, and I'm not afraid, but I'm also not. It's not something that I really want to get into, to say the truth. So there are so many things like that. As devotees, we can deal with the reality of life in a much more balanced way than people who are normal people who are in deep ignorance. Anyway, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be seen or unseen according to his own transcendental desire. Similarly, the devotee, being Jivan Mukta, can be seen or not as he chooses. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavitaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is not manifest to everyone and anyone. To the common man, he is unseen. Atakshi Krishna Namadi Na Bhavit Grayam Indriyaya. Krishna and his name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia cannot be materially understood. Unless one is advanced in spiritual life, Sevamukehi Jiva Dao, one cannot see Krishna. Therefore, the ability to see Krishna depends on Krishna's mercy. The same privilege of being seen or unseen according to one's own desire was given to Maharaj Nimi. Thus, he lived in his original spiritual body as an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, another interesting piece of information. Of course, the point of Krishna not being available or perceivable to those who are not qualified, unless he he decides to manifest. You cannot see. That is, of course, a very general point, which Prabhupada often was bringing up. They always challenge, can you show me God? If he exists, I want to see. No, but first, do you have the eyes to see? Modern man is so puffed up. Oh, of course I have the eyes. Oh, there are so many things you cannot see. We are not independent. Unless Krishna, he is just like Prabhupada gave the example that even if you want to see some big man, you cannot just go and see him. If you want to see the president of France, you cannot just go and knock on the door. He has to agree. You have an appointment, and most likely you won't get an appointment if you're just an ordinary Mr. Nobody. If you are lucky, if you have some credits, then maybe you can get an appointment, and you will have probably to wait for a long time. So what to speak of Krishna? It's a nice little incident related in the Nectar of Devotion. I think it's it's in the list of the 64 qualities of Krishna. One of them is Sarva Raji. He's all worshipable. So there's related one little interesting anecdote, I guess we can call it. What happened once when Krishna was in Dwarka. And it sounds quite familiar too. We can well relate to it because things like that happened often in the front office of great men. One very busy day in Dwarka, there were many demigods. They were sitting and waiting to have Krishna's audience. Lord Brahma was there, Lord Shiva, and Indra was also there. So the secretary or the doorkeeper, Krishna's secretary, in the front office. Every big man has a secretary in the front office to handle all of the people who wants to come and disturb him, have his attention, his money or whatever. So the doorkeeper, he said something like this. He told Lord Brahma or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's something like this. Lord Brahma, you please wait, sit down and wait here. It will take some time before Krishna has time to see. And Lord Shiva, he was told, please, apparently he was offering prayers. Please stop this, it's creating a disturbance. and Indra, he was told, sorry, it's a very busy day here. I think you should just come back another time. Krishna won't have time to see you today. So even this is a tangible example how it's not easy to see Krishna. It's not something that we can demand or expect to happen very soon. The devotees should be happy, simply getting the opportunity to serve Krishna. And we should be prepared to wait, however long it may take, before Krishna decides that, okay, now you can actually join my association, my company. It's an important point that we have to be patient, we have to be perseverant in devotional service. To actually be allowed into Krishna's personal association. This is something very exclusive, something very high. And we should not expect or demand to get this privilege. Actually, we should understand that simply if we get the chance to do devotional service, that is non-different. We are actually in the association of Krishna. Simply, when we are chanting Hare Krishna, that is also non-different from Krishna's association. So we should be satisfied. Krishna comes to us in different ways, and we should be satisfied with that. We should not prematurely try to come to a level which we are not ready for. Everyone, but no, I don't know if it's everyone, but I think most of us who have been around for some time, we are here still because we have had experiences where we felt the presence of Krishna. And this keeps us going, even sometimes. And there's maybe it's a little rough going. You should remember those ecstatic experiences that at least speaking for myself, I can remember a few times where I really felt something extraordinary. And like I say, whenever it feels not so ecstatic, I try to remember those times, and that helps me, because that gives me the confidence that I have to go on, and this will become not just some little glimpses here and there, but it will become a permanent thing. The ability to perceive Krishna's presence and feel the ecstasy that is inevitable when we are with Krishna. I can remember at least 2 times that I will share with you. I mean, there are more, but these were very, very profound. When I started making dresses for deities, Gaura, I somehow became inspired, and then I made one. I don't want to get into the details, but I spent like 1 year doing everything, embroidery, everything, one dress. I thought it came out pretty good. I was quite satisfied with it. I thought it's going to be nice. But still, the real result is you get when you actually dress the deities and you see them in that dress. So the first time, after laboriously preparing this for about. It took about 1 year, and then I dressed them, and then I took one step back and I looked, and it was like I really had to control myself not just to faint, literally faint. I was about to just, pass out. They were so beautiful. It was one of the most wonderful experiences I ever had. So of course I continued after that. I prepared a few more dresses. This was one time. Another time was, some years back, I was touring in the UK a little. I was there with Janananda Maharaj, actually. And we went to several places. One place was Manchester. There was Ratha Yatra in Manchester. And Mahavishnu Swami was also there. And he was leading kirtan at one point, and somehow I was asked to hold the microphone for him. So I was holding microphone and he was leading in the middle of Manchester. I don't know, somehow or another, all of a sudden I just felt so ecstatic. And it was a problem because, again, I was about to faint. And in the middle of Manchester, I thought, this will not be good. I'd better get myself together here because I don't want to faint here in the middle of the street, in the middle of Ratha Yatra. So I controlled myself, but it was really like that also. It was somehow, Maharaj is a very ecstatic person. And I guess that was, I was smitten by the ecstasy. So anyway, there are other times, but these are just two examples. Anyway, we have to go on and not think that these experiences is just some illusion, something we imagine. No, this was real. And the only reason why we are not feeling that all the time is because we are simply not ready for it. We have to get ourselves together. There's a little more work to do. Some anarthas that has to be gradually cleansed. We are getting there, slowly but surely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
She was first.
Okay, go on.
Okay, I have a question about ghosts.
Ghosts.
I'd like to talk about it. It's just that I was wondering if in holy places like here, logically there would be good ghosts, if we can say that. Like,
Good ghost.
yeah, does it exist?
Do they exist? Good ghosts?
Yeah. Are they attracted to holy places? I mean, can they guide also people through
Higher levels of consciousness?
mhm.
There are all kinds of ghosts. Just like, embodied people, there are all kinds of people. So, same thing with ghosts, They are, good ghosts, but they are less bad ghosts, I would say, put it like this. It's, nobody's bad, ultimately, but there are ghosts who are a little more how you say, benign, not so vicious, undoubtedly. But I think that even those ghosts, we shouldn't seek out their association, and I don't think that they can help us. I don't think we should take help from, devotees who are, there may be devotee ghosts also. I'm not the one to say it couldn't exist, but still they are not very high. I don't think they are in a position to help us. We should help them. We are better. It's always better to have, to have not just a subtle body, but to be embodied. So, certainly a more favorable situation for spiritual life. So we should take help from those who are on a higher level than us. Not try to cross the ocean by catching the tail of the dog. There's a saying like that from Bhagavad.
Yeah, you said that we should take inspiration from these moments of great ecstasy and so on. Of course I know what you mean, but some people might think that then, you live in the past. I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking about what some people
I'm
think.
happy you're not talking.
I know that you're not like that. Some people, they just, it was so good, whatever, when Bhagavan was here, or when Prabhupada was here, or, we hear that many times. In the good old days. Now it's so horrible. But the good old days are now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a valid point. We shouldn't dwell on that. I guess that is often the trap that old people can fall into. The good old days. When you're young, you don't have so many good old days to remember. But for old people, us old people, I should say, we have to be careful with that one. Not just, it was much better than no, it's Krishna consciousness. If we are actually Krishna conscious, then it's getting better all the time. As Ringo Starr was. He had one song on Sgt. Pepper's, if you remember. That is Krishna consciousness, always better and better. So it is a little up and down. It's getting better and better, that's the general trend, but little ups and downs will naturally be there also. So that's what I'm talking about sometimes. When we are down in the valley, we're feeling down and out. It's the mind is like that. But there's a way to overcome that. Of course, I guess the most important thing is just to, as Prabhupada said, the way to deal with the mind is by neglect. That's the word he used. Neglect. You just don't pay attention to that mind. You don't take it seriously. Oh, my mind. Yeah, but you're not your mind. try to understand. No, but I'm not on that platform. No, but you know, at least accept that it's not something you should take seriously, whatever goes on in that crazy mind. Just, you know, stick to your business. Our business is to somehow or another try to please Krishna. And, you know, that mind, so just forget about it. Just give it a kick. Siddhanta said that, how to deal with the mind. In the morning you beat it with a broomstick, and in the evening with shoes. Oh no, how can I be so cruel to my mind? Yes, you can. If you understand it's not you.
I think those people who complain about their life, about whatever is gone or the society and whatever, it's just self-biography.
Yeah.
It's just a description of themselves that they project on the rest of the world.
Yeah, we tend to do that. We put on blue glasses, and then, you know, we wonder why is the whole world blue? It's not blue, but you're wearing blue glasses. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
But you can do the opposite also. You can wear the Krishna glasses and you see all the good things.
Yeah, that's what we should do, isn't it?